about. So now let's do the discussions. And what we played to you, the piece on corruption, etc., what we really wanted to take out of that piece also was a concern by that character or the subjects, especially related to pensions. And we know that we did a review of the newspapers. In Akachi, retirees protested the poor pension being paid them. We've had some reforms in the pension structure. We're told that now we have various tiers. Is it 3 or 4 tiers of it? You have a first tier, which is of course paid by SNIT, and then the second one you manage privately with a pension house, and then the third one is for the informal sector and all that. But at the end of the day, is that pensions really are not are not anything to write home about, because you go to page 16 of the daily guide, the daily graphic. It says that some pensioners in the southern part of the Volta region yesterday embarked on a peaceful protest to demand a better pension package from the Social Security and National Insurance Trust. We'll be discussing that very soon. But my discussant in the studio, Daniel Ochem Abuaje, he's a member of parliament for Bantama. Good morning to you. Good morning, looking very splendid in his suit.
Thank you very much.
Right. And also member of parliament for Myong is here. He's a regular on the show as well. Mohammed Abdulaziz, he's a very good friend. He always keeps complaining. Alongside Suhini, I don't give them enough time, etc. It's not true, but good morning to you, Mohammed.
Good morning, Roland.
Shukran.
You know, this guy, he's a big man, so when you see him in such a nice suit,
you're also a big man.
You shouldn't be surprised.
Only that his party's government is in power, so, but he doesn't have a party position. He doesn't have a ministerial position.
And they are not just incompetent, but reckless.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes. So, they are reckless.
Well, I don't know.
Everybody knows.
But
so proceed.
But we've had a number of reports this morning, all being carried from yesterday about the outbreak of meningitis in some schools is sporadic, but more importantly, we're told that is related to that infection. But the concern, especially if you go to myjoyonline.com, is that the Ghana Health Service seems to be reactive instead of normally being proactive. Now, we've had the minority and the majority in Parliament all raising concerns about this. Let me start with you. Now it's become a national issue. It's become a serious issue bothering parents, and you, the parliamentarians, are even talking about it. Now, we keep hearing of deaths in one school or the other. How serious is it for you?
It's a very serious matter, Roland. Even before I proceed, let me say good morning to you, my co-panelists, and our viewers. It's a very worrying issue that has hit this country, and I think that the Ministry of Health, working together with the Ministry of Education, should find a more sustainable solution to this problem. It all started with the Kumasi Academy. Now it has spread to some other parts of the country. Some lives, unfortunately, have been lost, and my sincere and deepest condolence to the bereaved families. You know, with respect to the deaths at Kumasi Academy, the report is that there's an outbreak of swine flu in some other parts of the country, like is it Daboya? Sorry, Damongo Secondary, right?
The Damongo,
yes,
and now the latest is Timpani.
Exactly, they are citing meningitis as the cause of those deaths. Whatever the case is, I urge the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Health to work together to be able to arrest this situation. Thankfully for us, the schools will be going on a vacation somewhere next week, I'm sure. They are doing their exams now, and so even parents themselves must take some level of responsibility as the kids come back from school. If it requires quarantining some of them, so be it, so that at least we would be able to find a more lasting solution. What is worrying, however, is that this was an issue that broke out somewhere in March, you know, in the Ashanti region, the Kumasi Academy, and we waited until somewhere early last month to trigger some actions. That is not a good approach, you know. When it broke out somewhere in March, government should have been very, very swift at tackling the issue. But better late than never. Let us see how the Ministry of Health and Education can work together to resolve that. Apart from just looking at the medical aspect of it, the government must also be interested at the communication. For instance, the swine flu is a social issue. Apart from just being a medical issue, there's also a social dimension to it. And so how we communicate to parents, how we communicate to students, how we are able to address the issue of panic, is very, very important. And so whilst doing all the tests at the Nukuchi and all the medical things that we are doing, the vaccinations, we must also be interested in how we engage the public, just to ameliorate the anxiety and the fears of the affected schools. And we must be interested that, look, the schools are going on break. We can take that one as an advantage to fumigate all the schools, that we have, especially at the secondary school level. We can take advantage to fumigate them even before they come back. Very tied to this issue is the congestions in those schools. The schools, look, even when you see the environment under which they do their exams, it is shocking. And government is very quick to praise itself for the introduction of their flagship program of free secondary school. And if you observe very carefully, this year, the private schools have been thrown out of business. All that government has done is to absorb almost all those who were qualified for entry into secondary school. And so while the private schools are idling, they have space, their investments are going down the drains, the public institutions are overcrowded. And that is very, very worrying, especially when there is a very clear sign of these governments not committed to infrastructure. I'm worried, for instance, that for the whole of 2017, not even a single classroom block can they point to as being an initiative of this regime. 12 good months, and they cannot point to just a single classroom block. That is worrying. They can't point to a single dormitory that they have initiated. That is worrying. And what is even worrying is what lies ahead of us going into 2018 and beyond. For instance, when you go to the budget, I'm not too sure which page, but my brother here and colleague here is a member of the finance committee, and so he will know better. That today, gov't, which was instituted largely to address issues of infrastructure in our educational sector, when you come to my constituency, most of the classroom blocks that you see, especially at the basic level, were funded under the gov't. Today, government is proposing to pay teacher trainee allowance from gov't. What that will happen is that they are going to compromise infrastructure in our educational sector, and that is bad. You see, you must not just be interested in fulfilling your campaign pledges. You must equally be interested in doing the right things. And so maybe you are in government, you can take that advice on board, that all that we are seeing, if we are not able to expand infrastructure.
He's not in government.
He is. His party is in government. Yeah. And so he sits to the right of the speaker. And I'm sure when he talks to the Minister for Education, he will take him more serious than he will do to me. Mm-hmm. And so I'm only saying that, look, try and expand infrastructure. For instance, between 2009 to somewhere 2013, about 1,700 basic schools that were operating under trees were turned into decent classroom blocks, and several senior high schools were constructed, even under President Mills. And so this government must be interested in taking on the legacy that we left behind for them, even at the university level. We can pride ourselves that even before we left, between 2009 to 2016, about 2 public universities were established in the Volta region and the Brown Ahafo region. We had virtually finished the law and the funding for another university in the Eastern region. Access is very, very important. Access is very, very, very important. This government must take the advice on board. You see, sometimes when you render some of these free advices to them, because we don't charge them when we offer them these advices. They will turn it into the usual NDC, MPP propaganda. They are more interested in Free Senior High School. In fact, Free Senior High School has become an answer to every solution, every problem in this country. Even when you complain about diarrhea, the answer tends to be Free Senior High School. Our kids are dying. We can't allow this to continue. Our kids are dying. We cannot allow this to happen.
And it first started in Kumasi, right? Or in Ashanti region, or in one of the areas close to Kumasi. Kumaka. But we've had a spillover, but it means that they may not necessarily have been related in terms of how they connected. But we're a country in which we have peculiar challenges in the schools, and that is why we're seeing this. Could that be the case?
Roland, let me just start by saying good morning to your cherished viewers and all my good people in Bantima that are watching. And of course, good morning to you and Mohammed. I haven't seen you for some time now. You've been busy with budget estimate reviews.
Just trying to.
Yeah, I wish my colleague wouldn't have politicized this.
Did he?
Yes, he started with making good comments about the fact that we need to address this as a national issue, and ultimately he said,
well, he did, yes.
You know, congestion, and we praise ourselves with free SHS and all that. Because to me, to be honest with you, whatever issues that we are dealing with in this country, especially in the last 8 years, with all the things that we saw, are legacy issues. All the inefficiencies we are seeing, all the corruption on the schools not building, all those things, they are all legacy issues.
But that cannot be the right response.
We are not complaining. We are not complaining. We are not saying there are no challenges. But I'm saying that if they had done much better, the problems of this country will have been much, much more reduced.
Can we elevate the discussion to the next level in which we have a certain... It's now become a national crisis, is it not?
What we are experiencing in the high schools, it's unfortunate that we lost lives in Kumaka, but I believe the management team were on the issue. They were on top of the case, even though I believe some of the communication delayed, and therefore people got panicked. They were not getting what was going on, because normally if this was to happen in the US, for instance, the very first time things happen, every meeting they go, they come out, they do press conference just to inform and manage people's expectation. So I think probably there were communication gaps, or some of the things that were supposed to be announced and discussed came later. That we agree. We just have to pick up lessons from there and improve upon it. You said something, I think before we came on like that, is we have to try to be more proactive instead of being reactive. And I agree with you. That's how it's supposed to be. But of course, if you inherit problems, so many problems that you have to deal with, of course, some of these things may try to get you. So I didn't want him to politicize it, especially say that everything the government is taking prices, everything you say is free SHS. Of course. When we launched the free SHS, what we did was not to overcrowd the schools. The headmasters and mistresses were asked to bring their quota, how many people that they can take, based on their facilities. So who is going to force people into a place to make it overcrowded? No. We work with them to make sure that however much capacity they have, they are able to fill it. That's about it. So if there's an issue, I don't think you want to say it's because the government introduced this good policy. That is what is causing that, right? So I want you to get that part clear. It's not because we introduced free SHS. By the way, we are not telling you everything about the free SHS is solved. There are issues. We have logistics issues. We have people going to school with furniture and all that. We will deal with those things as we go. But you can't blame it.
But let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
Mr. Asiamah, don't you think that we've had, if we had congestion back then when we didn't have free SHS, we've had perhaps a lot more of it this time around?
I won't agree. To the extent that we ask the headmistress and the managers of these schools to provide you inputs, I wouldn't say that it's because of that. Even though we have to agree that people are going to school much more, it doesn't mean that they're going to take more than they're supposed to take. Apart from that, he's talking about this government has not put a single high school or infrastructure, wherever. How many months? 12 months? But who told you are going to build new schools? Who told you? We might end up building some more, but we will leverage on the existing infrastructure. You tend to want to build more all the time. You promised 200 schools. How many did you build? Some 43 and 123 in various stages of completion. And we, unlike you, will continue whatever you started. So we don't waste the national resources. They will abandon it and just go and start new so that probably they'll get opportunity to inflate prices and do what they have to do. It happened in Kofonachi Hospital. When you have about 995 bed capacity hospital, which is about 80% complete, abandoned. And they go and start a new one called Regional Hospital somewhere around in Carrier. I'm not saying building infrastructure is not good, but if you have something that can double the size of Kofonachi, you don't abandon it, finish it. So we will continue whatever you started. If we have to put boarding house in places where you build these e-schools and without boarding facility, we will do that. So don't expect us to be building schools in the first 12 months. We have to, first and foremost, deal with a lot of the mess that you left for us before we can start deciding what we want to do. So it's a complete different strategy. And but for us, look at what we did in Kumasi Anglican. Instead of going to start a whole new school, they had so much plot, so much land. We leveraged it. We made it model school. Now today, when you go there...
Oh, you mean the one started during the Kufa administration?
Exactly.
Okay.
So I don't expect Honorable Mohammed to think that we are going to just start right away and start building new schools, because you left certain foundations and certain uncompleted structures that we need to continue on if you want to really protect the national purse, if you want to use Ghana's resources efficiently. So I don't expect him to think that we are going to finish that which you started. We are not going to abandon like you did for affordable houses in Kumasi. You left it there. Nothing happened. We have to make sure we protect the limited resources that we have in this country. And the way to do it, they will want to start everything anew. We probably will have to leverage what they have done, continue what they have also started, and make sure that at the end of the day, it is getting people that benefit. It's not just to make a politics. And we're not going to do that. It's different. The difference between us and them is different. And he says he's giving free advice. If you want to charge, by the way, if you knew how to do it, you'll have done it. He was trying to say, you know, they had a book called Green Book. I don't know if you remember. Green Book.
The one that was used in the campaign?
Everything you
Green Book.
Everything
the one that had the picture.
Yes, everything.
Yeah, it was very informative.
Quite informative, but a lot of the things in there too were not non-existent.
Oh, are you serious?
Come on, go to the...
They had Ridge. Ridge is existing.
No, go to... I said, I didn't say all of them. Some of them. They said, is it Ho Airport or whatever it is? It wasn't there. It was just, if you read a book, you see that it was just the design that they just put there. But let me tell you.
It's not existing?
No, it wasn't there. Oh. So if they even actually wrote it. So what they have to say, at that time, when they were talking about their accomplishments, everything you ask them, and this is what we've been using against them, everything you ask them, say, go to the Green Book. Even if you ask them about Koshoko, Green Book. So that is what he was trying to put us. We don't have any book that you can reference to, but let me tell you, what we do have is a plan. Go and read our manifesto. We have agenda to develop this country. Agenda to develop this country beyond aid. And of course, people will say, some of our friends that don't understand, they will say, hey, it doesn't mean you're not going to get donor money. But anyway, the difference between us and them. So I believe, like you said, we need to make sure that with these issues that are developing in the secondary school, we are more proactive.
Okay, the two of you, I go with the politics.
Sure.
Now let's come to the real issues.
No.
The thing is that meningitis has been reported. This morning alone, we're getting, now people are panicking. So even on pages, my old school page, for example, they're putting things around with some school.
At least I'm here representing the minority and the NDC. So my submissions would most likely be interpreted to
be a reflection,
to be a biased one. Same to my brother.
No, it will be a reflection of the position.
Exactly.
It's not necessarily biased.
My brother.
Nobody thinks your submission.
Exactly. My brother here would obviously be making submissions in sync with his party's position. You are a neutral arbiter.
I'm supposed to be a neutral.
Exactly.
But I don't know. My position of neutrality is it not neutral?
I'm making a point here.
But we haven't
the
been different on the fact that there were communication lapses.
Take it easy.
We all agree.
Take it easy.
You have to improve.
The congestions that we have this year, did we have same last year, last 2 years, last 3 years?
Are you saying it's acute?
It's unprecedented.
Oh.
It is unprecedented. I mean, we've seen the horrifying pictures.
Mr. Abdulaziz,
yes.
Is it true that, and I believe when admissions were being made, we were told that the schools had quotas.
Yes.
So, for instance,
do you think that they went beyond the quotas? Can you cite some instances for
Roland, I can tell you on authority. I may not have the figures right away to give to you, but go to all the schools. In fact, I visited a school in Tamale.
You mean it has to be the first and second tier schools? It can't be all the schools.
No, Roland. First year, second tier, third tier. The fact of the matter is that we are losing lives. And I'm telling you, we've all lived in this country. You haven't just come from Azerbaijan or Zanzibar.
To come and
we all have lived in this country. Okay. And we know that what we are experiencing this year is unprecedented. Why? The private schools have complained when they introduced this free senior high school. They have complained of how their infrastructure was abandoned, and they were even appealing to government to engage them so that they could also take some of the students. The suggestion that came was that if you were paying, for instance, an amount of 1,000 Ghana cedis for every school under your free senior high school, extend same to the private schools. If they want to charge more and the parents are willing to pay the difference, that's their matter. You refuse to heed to that advice, and you've gone to admit everyone who qualified into the public schools. Now we have the public schools overcrowded, and we have infrastructure wasting in the private schools. So we are saying that you guys are not just managing the system well. Now my friend is telling me that they do not intend to build schools. They don't intend to do infrastructure.
We will.
And that within 12 months, we should expect them to build school, and that they won't build schools going into the future.
But that's unfair.
300,
no,
300.
that's not what I said.
What you started, you haven't completed.
I said we will leverage. Leverage means it could be adding, building new blocks. Go to Kumasi Girls, for instance.
I see, I was quite when you were on the floor.
I am talking to the minister for them to add a dormitory. What are you talking about? We will build new projects, but we'll leverage what exists.
I mistakenly said Honorable Abuaji.
It's okay.
Well, they said now you can't say Honorable.
You can't say Honorable Abuaji.
It's okay.
You see, your communications director, Nana Kumi, I don't know whether he's still your director for communications. He's on record to have stated in the run-up to the 2016 general elections that you guys were going to do about 350 senior high schools.
We will.
We have.
If we're going to do
it in the manifesto?
If it is,
no,
I haven't cited.
No, I haven't.
I think the manifesto is a guide.
It's a guide.
The manifesto.
You don't use utterances.
Now
we have
the man is saying
they're supposed to win votes. We have to be realistic.
12 years.
12 months.
12 months. No, sorry. 12 months. They can't do a single school.
We're not saying that.
Look, we are talking about 365 days. We are talking of months that you have earned a salary and other perks. You are today telling us that, look, all the e-schools that we left behind, have you completed a single one?
No, we'll continue.
No, my constituency in Sang.
We'll continue.
I have an e-block that was started under President Mahama, about 90% completed before we left office. The building is there. You've abandoned them. So all that we're saying is that you are compromising the future of this country. You see, you cannot toil with the lives of our people. You cannot toil with the lives of these innocent kids that we have lost lives, and all that you are engaged in is propaganda. That is uncalled for, and all progressive minds must speak against this. That we have a duty. And so I'm not surprised, for instance, when they say that they are going to pay the teacher trainer allowances about 211 million Ghana cedis from GET Fund. That was not the purpose for which the GET Fund was set up. That's why I'm saying that these guys are not incompetent too. They are reckless. That today, under President Nana Akufo-Addo, you are using GET Fund, because when you say you are going to align,
but we're talking meningitis and how to improve.
You see, it all boils down to infrastructure, and I'm telling you that in this country,
so you expect them to have completed all the unfinished schools in 1 year.
And to initiate more
in 1 year.
Well, not within 1 year.
We're just in the 11th month.
They have only 4 years.
You are being unfair to them.
No, I'm not being unfair. Oh, come on. I'm saying that they have only 4 years. 1 year is gone. There's no any indication that these guys want to improve upon the infrastructure in the education sector.
It wasn't in the budget?
Nothing.
Nothing.
What I'm even telling you that you should be interested in what I'm telling you, because this thing is not in the public domain, and most people, especially in the media, are not even aware that government is intending to fund the payment of the teacher training allowances, the nursing training allowances from National Health Insurance and GET Fund. That is wrong. That is unlawful. We cannot allow you to compromise our education, compromise the lives of these innocent young ones, and all that you talk about is free senior high school. Don't you have shame that for 365 days that you have been in power?
No, we don't.
You have not initiated any action
to
construct a single classroom block. That's why when you say we got left behind debt, we say we left behind investments. Learn from us. Those were not debt, they were investments. Learn to do the right things and stop the propaganda.
All calls to make you wrap up.
Roland,
you said I'm not fair, but you're not wrapping up.
It's okay.
Please, I give you only 2 minutes.
But what I would
Sorry, I have to be biased.
What he needs to understand is that the opportunity we have here to speak does not mean we have it all. There are people who are listening to that are quite discerning. He can be saying whatever he wants. There's this saying that goes that long talk does not buy house.
Long talk.
Kasatenten in top and top onko.
Long talk
does not buy horse.
That is if you want to do the translation.
So the point I'm making to him is that he can say whatever he wants to say. Ghanaians know that when it comes to the management of the economy and development, we have what it takes.
But we have meningitis in the schools. The Ghana Health Service, the Ghana Health Service under the Ministry of Health doesn't seem to
let me tell you,
doesn't be having a grip on the situation.
I think you like when we debate each other on political grounds, but I can tell you the truth of the matter is that, and we are not complaining, just like the President said, the magnitude of the problems that we inherited.
What problem?
Requires the deep thinking and making sure you put brakes on certain areas to be able to analyze and uncover the challenges and the causes of what these people took this country through.
What challenges?
Hold on.
What challenges?
If you go and buy 200 ambulances, and they're only, hold on please. You ask me and I'm giving one example. And they're only good for trotro.
They have retreated on that.
Hold on. And they're only good for trotro. To help the health service in Ghana.
What are you talking about? Has retreated on that matter.
Please. When you were talking, I kept quiet. So you need to understand. And let me say this. The last thing that this government would do.
No, the ambulances that were imported were not fit for purpose.
The last thing, they were not. The last thing that this government would do is to kill the private sector. He's talking about private schools because it is a major government strategy to make sure that
but now the classrooms of the private schools are empty. We have to find a way to make them useful.
Unfortunately, right? Probably that is what is happening, but it's not all. Roland, you can't tell me that if you want to take your children to private school, if you want to take your children to private school, this free SHS policy is going to change your mind. There are people, kids, parents who are paying heavily for their children to go to private school, and they are still there. Maybe some of them are affected, yes. But then, of course, it's not just only 1 year. We are going for 4 years.
All right.
The dialogue could go on. We could continue to talk and see if we could provide
we know that the Ghana Health Service says that
so that this government
they have a
private sector.
So this morning we'll be in one of the schools here in Accra and try to gauge the atmosphere, but also have an interaction with those managers of the schools, how they're trying to manage information, trying to sensitize students, because at the end of the day, it's not government that's going to. It's we have a health service that's supposed to be responsible for that. And we have people who have been put in various positions of trust to be able to be innovative and make sure that we preempt some of these schools, some of these things in the schools. If you're the headmaster of a school, how do you liaise with perhaps maybe the Metropolitan or the District Health Directorate to make sure that you have a tap? It's about management, supervision, and all that. So I guess we have to move the conversation to the next level. But the minority apparently have a lot more to say about a certain gentleman who is a second deputy governor of the Bank of Ghana. And the minority leader had been speaking to the Daily Graphic, and they had been saying that, well, there have been moves by government to sack the gentleman called Dr. Asiamah. And Dr. Johnson Asiamah, apparently, we're being told, is being forced at the side to resign his position based on some negotiated terms, etc. We're also being told in some reports that, oh, he hasn't resigned. There are no attempts like that. But it's coming from the camp of the minority. It's because you suspect, you have detailed information that is what is happening. The minority leader has been speaking on the subject.
Roland, the minority leader would not speak to an issue when he is not properly apprised with the details. So I'm very certain in my mind that our leader knows what he's talking about. But you see, the issue of the deputy governor of Bank of Ghana is just one out of many dismissals. You know, what we must recognize in this country is that political power is transient. Political power will not reside in one person forever, and that the very institution that has been behind the development of this country is the public service. Public service has lubricated the wheels of governance since the days of independence. And so we must all be interested in protecting the integrity and the sanctity of the public service. What this government is doing is compromising and defiling the integrity of the public service in this country. Almost everybody in this country is taxed. This is a government that won power with the pledge to offer jobs to the unemployed. All that they have been engaged in since they assumed power is this mass dismissal of public servants.
And then where do you cite that from?
Youth Employment Agency, okay. The Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, Cocoa Board, National Service, School Feeding Program. There's evidence, ample evidence of mass dismissals of people within the public service. In fact, most of these dismissals has to do with people that they suspect that they do not share their political orientation. That is bad. Whether the person shares in your political orientation or not, the person has a right to a job in this country. In fact, the law even on who can engage in partisan politics, sometimes we confuse it. It is only civil servants who are barred from engaging in active partisan politicking. Public servants can boldly, in broad daylight, engage in partisan politics. There's nothing wrong with that. But my worry is the way this government is proceeding with the dismissals. But it is not strange to some of us. It happened even under President Kufuor when they won power in 2000 and was sworn in 2001. Proceed on leave. People were dismissed on radio, left, right, center. That is what this government led by President Kufuor is doing. Thankfully for us, we are told the president is an astute human rights lawyer. You cannot be trampling on the rights of people when you claim you are an astute human rights lawyer. No, that is not proper. I refer you and our viewers to Article 191(2) of the Constitution, that you cannot dismiss or reduce in rank a public servant without any cause justification. In fact, we have a public sector act 2003 in this country that protects and defines the circumstances under which you can disengage public servants. The case of the deputy governor of Bank of Ghana is just an eye-opener to all of us. What is Dr. Nashiru, the former governor of Bank of Ghana?
Well, he resigned.
He resigned.
You see, that's what happens.
You didn't read the news stories.
No, Roland, take it easy.
No, maybe
you know the story.
Let me coil it from.
It's not about me not reading. You see, when you say maybe I didn't read,
I didn't say you don't have knowledge. Maybe you didn't read it.
I'm not saying I didn't know he resigned. I know he resigned.
So why are you citing
But I'm telling you that sometimes what they do in some of these very sensitive positions is to make the working environment very, very uncomfortable for you. Sometimes you are engaged behind the scenes to resign. In fact, the resignation of Dr. Nashiru also came as a rumor, just like this one. Finally, the man came to resign. Then later we were told that he was some package was negotiated and paid out to him. Why would you dismiss someone and then pay him a package when the person is willing to work? There was a story that an amount of 7 million Ghana cedis was involved in his package. That is wrong. Look, you can mark it on the wall that within the next few days, they will smoke out the deputy governor of Bank of Ghana. Mark it on the wall, and it will come in a form of resignation.
They will smoke it out.
I have done a question to the Speaker of Parliament about the dismissal of public servants. The question is over 6 months now. But I'm bent on asking it because I think we are all Ghanaians. We are not second-class citizens. We are all entitled to the opportunities in this country.
In this instance.
And would fight for
the minority, you have information that is being pressurized to resign.
Oh, no, I don't want
even
to
though
speak
we've
to,
had,
I don't want
even
to
though we've had his lawyer also come out.
I'm saying that all that they are doing is to make the working environment uncomfortable for him, why is the story just about the deputy governor of Bank of Ghana and not Addison, who was appointed by Akufo-Addo? I'm saying that they have no respect for the laws of this country, and you cannot defile our public service. Look, political parties will come and go.
They cannot what, defile?
Yes.
Defile what?
Defile not as in what you are thinking about.
Oh, I'm not. I think that's unfair. Wrap up.
But
Okay.
all I'm saying is
it.
that, look, we can't allow this. We can't allow this to continue.
Right.
They must respect the Labour Act. They must
I think
respect
Mohammed
the
is
Constitution.
conjecturing. See, also the people are being
Roland, no,
DVLA.
it's a
Haku formally.
No, I have letters in my car.
Excuse
If you
me.
want, I can give you evidence of dismissals.
Excuse me, Mohammed.
At DVLA.
Mohammed.
Yes.
If in 10 years' time,
Yes.
we have to have a cursory observation made about how a governor of the Bank of Ghana resigned 10 years before, it would have been, perhaps the best sources would have been the news report, his resignation letter.
I agree with you.
And formally, would have been seen as resigned. So all this speculation you're making-
Roland, I agree with you.
speculation.
I agree with you.
Roland,
But when I talk about national service,
Okay,
when I
you
talk about
ended, you
DVLA,
ended, you
when I
ended.
talk about
You
school
have a
feeding,
bite.
I have the evidence.
Roland,
Yes, sir.
I,
dismissing.
I think
That's what the allegation is. Just
well,
rough for pressurizing a
They're smoking him out.
you know one thing that I have learned about our friends in NDC, they rush and everything they rush. They may have some information. He's saying that, I'm not saying these are not possibilities that maybe this man may be
Forced
didn't
out.
talk to resign, whatever it is. I'm not saying that these possibilities are not there. But he's talking about things behind the scenes. I don't want to see them. I don't see them. For me, if you take your letter and write and say you've resigned, you have resigned.
Even when you're forced to resign.
Because, listen, when you are running, what do you mean you are forced to resign? Forced to resign. In this case, you are protected by the law. If you think somebody is playing you
He has
foul,
a mandate of 4 years.
okay.
Of course. There will be termination clauses in his.
Okay.
He
So
can choose to
if you
resign.
think
It's
somebody
a normal thing in the world
if you
of
think
work.
somebody is pushing you, cry. These are our friends in NDC. Even when there's no substance, they will be talking, they will be making case out of.
You have other instances in society. What do you mean by that?
You don't remember the issue of the EC when they
What
rushed,
are they doing today?
They rushed and did a press conference and said there's a heavy hand behind what is going on in the EC.
What has changed about that?
Everything has changed.
Wow.
Eventually,
Wow.
we saw the responses coming from the EC's own department, where the three commissioners were criticizing each other in writing. And you call it a heavy hand. So they are fond of rights. Remember when we were going to do this 2018 budget, when the presentation was going to come on, they said the budget is going to take us to the old ages of 1983, where those dark ages, where there was hunger. So
Famine.
I am not famine. I won't be
Hunger and
surprised.
famine.
I won't be surprised if this turns to be the truth. And by the way, I read that article. I read that story, I think, on Ghana Web, and these were allegations. That's how it was being described. And if that is what is happening, and somebody is pushing, it's quite unfortunate. But I hope that it doesn't happen. Okay?
You know it will not happen. Or
Yes. No.
He's not dismissing the story.
If that is, listen, if that is what is happening behind the scene, I don't see that one. But if you take your own pen and you write your own resignation, whatever the situation might be,
You have resigned.
you've resigned.
Even when
Okay.
you smoke out.
That's what I was telling you, that formally, when we have to
Because
make references,
when you
resign,
make
your letter will show
reference,
that you
when you make reference, we have been in the private sector. There are situations where what do you call it? Some staff, they want to leave and you want to terminate. They want to have a discussion. Maybe things are not working. So be it. But if you choose ultimately to take the pen and paper and write it yourself, you have resigned. I don't think this government is going to be pushing people. He is citing examples. Listen, let me tell you. It is time that we move forward as a nation. These guys, NDC, MPP, and all that, should put it behind us and look for
When you
people.
are dismissing people.
Who is dismissing?
Your government.
You just don't get it. If this man, Johnson, Asiamah, takes the pen and write and resigns.
He has
Even
resigned.
though you have twisted the arm.
Oh, you twisted. Cry. If your arm has been twisted, cry. Let everybody know. Come
That's
on.
why he's crying.
Crying through what?
Where did the
So,
stories in the news?
Roland, bottom line for me is that when you go and do mass employment in your last 30 days, take people, unqualified people, I'm moving forward.
Unqualified.
People who may not have what it takes to be take party members and hire them in the last minute.
Are they not Ghanaians?
Just like they gave the Yahini bauxite away in the last minute. When the new government comes, you should expect that he will review those.
Well, you interrogate that.
Those recruitments. I'm not saying the people that were hired. Listen, yes,
that you recruit people who are sympathetic to your party.
No,
I seem to suggest
he's making a recap of
they were Togolese.
So I am not saying no, but
they are Ghanaians. I expect you to tell him that they are Ghanaians.
Roland, let me tell you something.
Doesn't matter if they are NDC.
Okay. Roland, let me tell you something. Sometimes, you know, when you are in the constituency,
I actually expected you to.
When you are in the constituency, people come to you and they say, Honorable, is there anything that is protocol you can help me to get this? I got this. I said, listen. First and foremost, go to the website and apply. If you don't have the qualification, but some people approach me, they don't have the qualification. And I'll tell them, because you don't have English and maths,
it's not possible to
let me organize part-time classes or vacation classes that you can attend for free to make sure that
so you're organizing vacation classes.
Yes, I think
Mohammed
okay.
take a
so
from
the point hold on. The point I'm making is that because one of the things I will tell them is that if anybody force you, if anybody is able to force you or push, anybody is able to force you or push you to get,
or me not interrogating.
Roland, you have to pay attention. So if anybody push you or try to get you in, and the new government,
so you are allowed to flow. You are allowed to flow.
They review your appointment, and you don't have the qualification. They will let you go home.
So the man
sometime in the future,
and I know you. We are very smart.
So the point I'm making is that the point I'm making is that
now you're trying to pin me. I think that's what you do. You want to pin the interviewer, so the interviewer will be at the corner.
You guys are distracting.
That's okay.
So when you talk about mass,
I only gave you
mass dismissal. Listen, if these are Ghanaians that were employed properly.
But you said these are Ghanaians. You come and because they were employed the last.
They are all Ghanaians.
We know the letters that were issued.
They are Ghanaians.
But they are Ghanaians.
But if they are employed without the requisite qualification,
what is the evidence?
What is the evidence? What is your evidence that people have been dismissed? Bring it on. So stop. So let me tell you. So you have to understand that all those allegations you are making, you did it. I'm not saying because you did it, we should do it. What you need to understand
the Electoral Commission.
Political power is
the Electoral Commission. The Electoral Commission.
Who said a
lot of things have been happening. Now we have the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, and then he had 2 deputies. And the NDC is crying for, on the front page of the Daily Guide is a tabloid. I think I can say it's a pro-government or MPP tabloid. Okay? But they have, it's the NDC fight for EC boss. It looks like you're doing a lot of advocacy. We've had Abraham Amaliba and prominent people in the minority saying that, look, hell will break loose if, and we know that we're just having regulations in our constitution being followed as far as this is concerned.
First of all, let us put it on record, at least for our viewing public, that the story is being carried by the Daily Guide, and everybody who knows the Daily Guide and the mischief that they will do against the NDC and the minority will not be surprised about what they are doing.
You guys are fighting about it in Parliament and in everywhere you're talking about it.
The Constitution enjoins all of us, including President Akufo-Addo, to do everything under the sun to protect the Constitution, and that's what we are doing. We are not protecting Madam Charlotte Osei or Amadou Sule or the other commissioner. We are protecting the 1992 Constitution, the very Constitution that made Nana Akufo-Addo the president today. You see, when you say we are fighting for the EC boss, that is mischief. Your statement is laced with malice, and that's not what we are doing. We are saying that let us respect the electoral management body in this country.
I didn't say we're discussing Daily Guide headline.
Yes, and so I have to put it on record that it is a Daily Guide, and people who know Daily Guide will not be surprised.
We'll dismiss it. Why? With the
what they are doing to Madam Charlotte Osei and the 2 deputies, especially Madam Charlotte Osei.
What's been done to her?
Is known, because even before her appointment, we knew that you were up in arms against her appointment. When she was appointed, leading members of your party who are very, very influential in your government today, like gov't, publicly in your studios here, said he was an NDC person and that he knows her to be an NDC person. In fact, we even had members of parliament using very unprintable words against her. In fact, some of the words that were used against her, I'm unable to repeat them here. You know, and you had some other executives of your party, you know, virtually giving support to those unfortunate words that were used to describe the person of Madam Charlotte Osei. So it doesn't come to us as a surprise that through the back door, you are trying to disengage her from the EC. When you talk about the due process of the law and that the president had no option when the petition was given to him, that the president had no option than to forward it to the Chief Justice.
No, I didn't say the president had no option.
I'm not talking to you. No.
No, I know, no.
The argument is that the president was only going by the constitution, that the operational word use is shall, and that the president was mandated to forward the petition to the Chief Justice. It is also on record, and go and check, that in February this year, when President Akufo-Addo was the president, in February, a driver petitioned against the Chief Justice, Georgina Wood. The question I want to ask, that under our laws, under the same 1992 Constitution, the president was required to constitute a committee to establish a prima facie case against her or otherwise. Did he do that? Did the president Akufo-Addo do that? This time, he was, just as indicated, he is in a hurry. With some speed, the petition was forwarded to the CJ. Now, the CJ, in establishing a prima facie case against her, is a discretionary power, because only she would determine that, if indeed there's a need for full-scale investigations. And I again refer you to Article 296 of the Constitution, that a public officer with the authority that is discretionary must do that being fair and being candid. Being fair means that the process must be fair. Why would you be asking someone to come and respond to a petition that she has no copy of? And that is the cry of the woman, that I don't have a copy. I don't have a copy.
Get a copy. What's wrong with
take it easy. It was the duty of the CJ to furnish her with a copy of the petition. In fact, even the committee members, procedurally, she needed to be furnished that this is the petition against you. We have established a prima facie case against you. We have put up a committee of these members to do a full-scale investigations about it. I'm saying that I have a worry with the speed and the manner that the issue is being dealt with. We must be interested that we are dealing with an electoral management body in this country. It is at the core of our national peace and security. It is at the core of our democracy. We must all protect it. And you guys, just bear in mind.
You think what's going on is deliberate? It's being instigated.
I think so. I think so. I would either build or collapse this country together.
Roland,
just bear in mind.
Roland.
We all have a duty.
Roland, everything is backdoor.
You think when you take your off and bring
everything is backdoor.
Would accept it.
Everything is behind the scenes. Listen. Enough is enough. Do you have respect for the rule of law?
Yes, we do.
So what has the government done wrong?
I've just told you that 296 of our Constitution.
What has the government done wrong?
To be fair and candid.
Roland, this is a very simple issue. And it's unfortunate.
Now 17 petitioners down to 2 petitioners.
Let me tell you, it's unfortunate and highly regrettable about the way our friends in NDC are commenting about this, that if they end up, or the committee ends up removing her, there's going to be chaos in the
committee cannot remove her. It's the president.
Whatever, let me tell you.
No, I'm just correcting. The committee cannot remove her.
They will make a recommendation.
They will make a recommendation to the president.
So at the end, invariably, they would have.
If they make a recommendation, if they make a recommendation, what is happening is that the president is going and highly respecting the laws of this land.
Well, the president also could have chosen not to have forwarded.
Listen.
And just ignore it.
Your father.
Like he did.
Your father.
Yes,
you received petition from some of your children.
Yeah.
That this is going on. In your wisdom, say, okay, this cannot go on.
I have to take it to the elders.
Let me take it according to what the law suggests.
Take it to the elders for them to decide.
Chief Justice, decide. What is the president doing wrong? And why are they fighting so much? Let the law take its course. Why did you put her there?
Well, they're afraid the way the law is taking its course, it could lead to dire manifestation.
Nobody wrote those responses that she put out. The petition was not written by people that are known to be MPP people. And even if they are MP people, well, they are Ghanaians. Listen to me. So NDC, I believe...
NDC people are not Ghanaians. MP people are Ghanaians.
They are also Ghanaians. That's not what I'm saying.
Is what you are exhibiting here.
If you are misinterpreting my statement...
discussion about this...
No, if you are flipping my statement...
You said they were NDC, that's why you are sacking them.
No, I say... Okay, whatever it is. I am not saying NDCs are not Ghanaians. I'm saying even if the people that send the petitions, okay, are MPP people. Even if they are Ghanaians. So I believe,
oh, please let him make his submission. He has only 2 minutes.
I believe that we should allow the law to take its course. We should allow the processes that are going on to keep going. If it ends up that she is taking off or they are taking off, Roland, listen to me. Nothing is going to happen. Nothing. Those threats that you guys are sending, you think we have cowards in this country?
It's okay. It's okay.
We don't. So you have to understand, this country is not yours.
He's a member of parliament for Bantama.
Nothing is going to happen.
And Mohammed Abdulaziz is a member of parliament for Myong.
Stop those threats.
Well, please. It's
don't
okay.
worry.
Stop those threats.
Ceasefire.